Big good one here, and eventually we will like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, help promote and rank up my channel. We're going to be reviewing Stargirl, episode 8, Shiv Part 2. So, the logline on this one is essentially after Courtney gets herself into some trouble following an unexpected confrontation, Pat decides they need to come clean to Barbara. Meanwhile, Sydney takes heat from her father at their plan to take matters into her own hands go awry. Finally, Yolanda, Beth and Rick lead an investigation into one of the classmates. And you know who that is, Sydney, after the way things went last episode. Now, last episode, I was really, really disappointed. Normally, I break this down into a positive section, a bias section, and then a negative section, and I give you an overall score to it all. But in this one, I have to say, everything was great. Everything was actually great in this episode. I have no complaints. This episode was really, really strong. The last episode, for me, Courtney and Sydney were both so unlikable. But the majority of the episode centered around them, and they were both just being so egotistical that it was kind of hard to stomach. But in this episode, it's really good. I mean, the way that Pat covers up what happened to Courtney, and the tension of Sydney confronting Courtney, and Courtney not knowing if she knows that she's Stargirl or not, the tension there between them, that was beautifully played. That was excellent. That was really excellent. And then at the end of the scene, she just, and spoiler warning, that goes without saying. If you're coming into this review, know you need to leave fast before you know everything. But let's get back to it. But when Sydney goes over to visit Stargirl, Courtney, she plays it really nicely, where Stargirl is just, she is on the edge of her seat, wondering if Sydney knows, and it's just well played. And then at the very end of the scene, when she's thinking everything's cool, she's just like, "Oh, by the way, I know you're Stargirl. You think I'm dumb? You can't hide behind that mask. That mask isn't." But I just thought that was well played. The way that scene was, it was really well played. My only gripe with that particular scene is that the audience knows that she had to hear Pat, so it's not that tense for the audience as it is for the characters. But I did feel the tension, so it still worked. But everything in this episode, Beth coming out and being reasonable when Rick's getting all hot-headed like a pit bull on a chain. Like, Beth coming out and being the reasonable one that's like, we gotta investigate this. I really like the way that played out, and the way the things played out in the house. Pat getting really uncomfortable there, and Sydney's stepmom over there hitting on Pat the way she did, just like she must be desperate to get some. But I really like the way all that played out in the house, the dynamic there with Pat and Beth. I like to see Pat in this kind of leadership role where it isn't just Stargirl as the lead, because Pat is wiser and he's been there longer. And I really like to see more of the dynamic between Pat and the rest of the team working together. So it was really interesting to see the way this played and the way they covered it up. They covered the tracks and the way that the stuff that Beth found out in the house, and having that moment where Pat tries to talk to the staff. It's kind of hilarious to see him talk to an inanimate object. I mean, of course we know the staff is alive, though, but when the staff isn't responding, it's really interesting to see. But the dynamic, the way the rest of the team kind of pulled together with Stargirl out of the picture, it shows hope for them. The way that Beth was able to talk some sense into Rick and have Yolanda back them and them go as a team since their leader, essentially Stargirl is their leader, is down, to go there as a team to investigate this thing. I thought that was really well played. But the most interesting stuff in all of this for me is actually everything going on with Henry. In this episode, he's discovering his powers, and he's discovering these secrets about his father, and it's really interesting what that leads at the end of the episode. And it's going to be really interesting to see where that picks up now that the cat's out of the bag, not just for him, not just for Sydney, but also for Sydney's father, Dragon King. And it was really interesting to see the way Dragon King reacting to what Sydney did with Stargirl. But there was, I thought there would be some kind of follow-up to Shining Knight, but there wasn't. He didn't come forward, and they didn't know he saved her, so it's just real. It's going to be interesting to see where that picks up when they eventually get to it, but I'm really interested in the whole brainwave stuff. I think they're doing very well with the way this is written smoothly. The last episode was probably the most disappointing episode of the entire season for me, and it was really just the behavior of Courtney and Sydney that was off-putting. You expect that from a villain, but Courtney's attitude that episode was just really off-putting, and it got her put down hard. So it was cool, though, to see Courtney actually bounce back this episode and go out to protect her team, and she really gave it to Sydney good. The action was awesome. To see those two go toe-to-toe for a second time and see Stargirl actually somewhat hold their own a bit better this time, but still Sydney is more powerful than her. She's more skilled than her. But, like I said, everything going on with Brainwave is much, much more interesting to me. And I liked all the character dynamics in here, the way all the characters were presented to us. And even Yolanda got her shining moment, yanking Beth out of that window and getting her out of there last minute the way she did. But also on an Icicle's side of things, and I can't forget that the whole dynamic with Barbara and the apology from Mike to Courtney, that was a really nice, well-written scene where he apologized, thinking that the car accident was somewhat his fault, or somehow his fault, because he's not used to seeing someone else bond with his father and getting jealous, and he's just kind of got to accept the fact that they're a family now, and he's proud to call her his sister. And that was a really awesome, touching, beautiful moment in there. This show is top notch, man. Top notch. I have no gripes really about this episode. It was probably the best episode since episode 1 and 2. The best episode of the season. I bet it's only going to get better. I can guarantee that. And I would actually give this episode a solid 10 out of 10, man. In comparison to all the other episodes, this one, I'd give a solid 10 out of 10 for, the tension, the visuals, the fighting, the way the characters all played their part, and they did it very well. They all have a role to play in this, and it's quite clear, and the dynamic between each other is just really, really well done with the way they bounce off each other and the way they collaborate, but the way they benefit each other. It's just, I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to seeing which direction Brainwave Jr. goes. But the stuff with Icicle confronting that guy that used to work for that company, we know what all that means. That was really interesting. Icicle is still a villain that you can like. He's got a lot of depth despite that despicable thing he did a few episodes ago. He's kind of a villain you can love to hate, but a villain that you can really relate to or agree with on a lot of the things he's doing, but also at the same time, at the end of the day, he's the villain. But, like I said, solid 10 out of 10. This episode really did it for me. It was great. Big good one here. Eventually we will like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of everything in this episode. Let me know your favorite, least favorite moments. Did you enjoy it as much as I did? I really enjoyed this one above the last episode. The last episode was the most disappointing to me, but Stargirl has been overall incredibly great. This season, this show has blown me away so far. It's kept my attention, and I'm gonna keep doing reviews on it every week. Like, subscribe, share. Pick a good one here. Eventually, we will. Comment down below. Stay awesome. Rock on.